Bunnycast number 17, Social Networking. Recorded on April 26, 2008.
Sometimes the dreams come back and seem so real to me. The sky turns so cold and black. I'm scared of what I see, but I'm not afraid anymore. You vanquished my fears. You gave me the reason to laugh and stole all my tears.
Greetings and welcome to yet another Bunnycast. I'm your host, Dame Helennet, the LeatherClad, also known as Homernet. We do have a somewhat more limited host group today. Go on.
Yes, we have No Squatto. Say hello, No Squatto.
Some would say that's a good thing. My wife, for instance.
And yes, I am your usual punching bag, co-host, Lord Killerfish of the Keenfans. Bowels, scripts.
But we like our wonderful, wonderful Lord Killerfish.
Yeah, okay.
And by the way, until I see a CMX Fans episode, you're not Lord Killerfish of the CMX Fans.
Yes, that's coming along slowly. But eventually,
Yes,
I
actually,
have to do it now.
speaking of artwork, I'm getting pestered by several bunnies about getting updates to the site, and I'm holding off until you get back to me with those 3 pieces of art that I requested.
But what, the 3 under construction pieces?
Exactly.
Okay.
No pressure. Okay, so let's get on with this. We do have a podcast to run. Okay,
Wait, we're running a podcast?
We're running a podcast. That is why we're all talking to each other. Not that I wouldn't talk to you. You're a nice guy. not that I'd marry you. I mean, I'm already married. Not that you're not marriage material. Okay. So.
Okay, let's just get on.
News from the forums. I have resurrected. Oh wait, no, I got to do this. right. In a time when movie sequel titles were few and far between, in a place where humor was thin on the ground, there was the sequel game. It was fun. It was enjoyable. People would stop in and make fun of the previous poster's silly sequel title by making an even sillier sequel title based on that sequel title. But then it was neglected. It fell into sickness and died when the forums moved. But now it's back. The sequel game, part 2.
Here we go again.
This time it's personal. So yes, the sequel game is back. We've already got some participation. If you're hearing this and you're not nearly as frequent on the forums as you probably should be if you're an active bunny, I don't know anyone like that. Do you, Killerfish? I'm certainly very active on the forums.
I'm there. It's just I have trouble posting.
No, that's it for me too. Yeah, I'm totally there. I'm there all the time. I'm omnipotent and omniscient on the forums.
Yes, I see everything and I'm everywhere.
Okay, so yes, the sequel game is back. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to mention as far as activity, as far as I know. Squatto is our usual guy who is more up on the forums. Is not here today, so that kind of brings me to a little tangent rant. I'm going to go off script here for a second.
That's okay. Go for it.
What's with people not posting Q&As? I mean, even when we had the Q&As on the old forums, it was, there was some activity there. But ever since we got the podcast back up and going, it's been like nobody wants to post a Q&A. Now maybe that's because we've got the Q&A section on a whole other website. Yeah, that would be fair enough. But I mean, really, no one's participating, and that's just irritating.
And the fact that the website that we've actually got the Q&A on is the same website that we're hosting the podcast on really means there's no real excuse.
This is very true. All right, so okay, that's my little mini rant out of the way. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the comic.
Okay.
I'm just going to bring up today's issue, or the most recent issue, I should say, just to refresh my memory here. And can you tell that I'm just filling up time to make sure that I have plenty to have fill the airspace while I'm bringing this up. It's really subtle, I'm sure.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
I don't think anybody caught on to that.
Okay, so the topic, of course, of the comic has been Nanase's hair, and this has been going as far back as the last recording, which was, I want to say, a whole month ago, which shows you how the difference in the time flow in the comic versus time flow in real life.
Yes, indeed. The indication that outside of the EGS universe, time passes at a faster rate than inside the EGS universe.
Indeed. So, Nanase and Ellen look like they're having their first real fight. Of course, it's kind of one-sided because Nanase is being a bit snappish and irritable, but then again, that pretty much defines her whole character since the hair change. So,
I think that's actually stemming from the fact that she was expecting her mother to act more in irritation to what she's done than she actually did, and it's kind of throwing her off.
I think you're right. I think that's it entirely, and for being such a shy grizzly bear, or maybe a better expression would be teddy bear that Dan Shive is. It really says something that he's that much in tune with the people around him that he notices that kind of thing happening in real life. I mean, even when something really good happens, if you're not expecting it to be really good, if you're expecting it to be really, really bad and it doesn't happen in a bad way, I've noticed that even I will get furious that this didn't happen the way I planned it. I don't care that I got $1 million in a pony. This is not what I wanted. I wanted to be angry and spiteful, and I wanted to throw a fit, and I wanted to be righteously indignant. So
how dare you not make me angry?
Exactly. So and so go on.
I was going to make a comment on how it's very similar to the character of Akane from Ranma Half, who's constantly angry over small little things, but it's probably not relevant here at the moment.
Well,
on with the show.
Yeah, you don't want to get me started on that. Okay, so on with the show. As far as the comic updated, now maybe it's just the fact that I'm subscribed to Dan's Twitter feed, which we'll talk more about later on the podcast, but I feel more comfortable with the updates, even though it's quite clear that there hasn't been a real update in, looks like, I want to say 8 days. But to me, it doesn't feel like it's been that long. Again, probably because I'm subscribed to Dan's Twitter feed. Comments from somebody who hasn't had Twitter that long?
Well, considering I've had Twitter for approximately, hang on, let me check, 11 minutes, I don't feel I've had enough experience in order to make a relevant comment on this, but I can see how that if you were more aware of what's going on with Dan, then you can make allowances for when the comic doesn't turn up.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, yeah, that's kind of how I was feeling. I just wanted to get a Twitter newbie's impression of the whole situation, because I've gone 8 days without an EGS comic before, and I can remember being like, "Oh man, come on! I need my fix! Just one hit, man! Some sketch art, please! Come on, man!" Actually, speaking of the sketchbook, some good and humorous stuff. I liked the hairstyles sketchbook. Now it says it's from the It Could Be Worse files. Now, granted, the Heinemann and the party and the Tycho and the mullet and the mohawk and the Goku and the perm those were all definitely let's call those worse. However, the Ellen, that looks kind of cute on it. Of course, somebody referred back to that one Q&A series that Dan did, where Ted was describing the difference between hot Ellen and ugly cousin.
Yeah.
And was pointing out hairstyle as being like the key indicator. But
you can still tell it's Nanase.
Yeah, you can. Of course, that's owing primarily due to Dan's improved art since that Q&A series, especially in the eyes. But this also brings me back to the filler art, not the filler art, the sketchbook art that he did of Nanase, full size, and fairy doll Ellen. Terribly, terribly cute fairy doll Ellen. It would be it would be kind of interesting to see sort of a role reversal, complete role reversal, where we can still tell it's Nanase, and we can still tell it's Ellen, but they're kind of doing each other's thing, with Nanase's doing the changing of everybody into girls, and Ellen's doing fairy doll or some other spell or that
floating.
Yeah, exactly.
Would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
Be more of a mind swap than anything else. I'd feel that would kind of like try pulling it off. See if you can get somebody to do a mind swap on Ellen and Nanase.
I don't like the whole mind swap thing. It always seemed like a cop out to me.
Okay.
Of course, that goes.
Must remember. Never attempt mind swap between Squatto and Homer. There we go. Written that down.
I think I would probably kill you after we got switched back. Bad Killerfish, no biscuit. Okay, let's talk. Oh, hey, the hissing went away.
Did it?
Yeah.
The hissing.
Okay, personal news. Killerfish, why don't you start out with yours?
Personal news for all you people who are so interested in my personal life. I've actually gone on to the next stage of the application process to become a member of the police force.
Okay. So, what all is involved in doing that application process? Because I know we've talked about it, but it's taking a very, very long time for it to get going, at least from my point of view.
Well, that's to be expected. There are quite a lot of people who wish to be candidates for the police force, and what they're currently doing is the first stage was actually picking up the application form at a sort of open day at headquarters, and in that there was a small competence-based questions. Yes, they were testing my competence. Pause for jokes.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
to eat at Subway?
No. He was a quantum chicken. He didn't need to cross the road. He existed simultaneously on both sides.
Ah, right, of course. Anyway, back to what I was saying. First stage was a competency test to see if I was up to the sort of material they want to have in the police force. Next stage is a health test slash freeform roleplay thing they're going to do to see how I react to various different circumstances. And yes, health-based means I'm probably going to have to wake up in the morning and go jogging.
Hey, you want the job.
I know.
So, okay. Assuming
But-
that you get through this stage, what's next?
It's a various of interviews and all and sundry, and if I do manage to make it through and actually get assigned into the whole training aspect, that will start next year. So that's going to be fun. Meaning that not only will I miss this year's Comic-Con, but there's a very high likelihood of me missing next year's Comic-Con if I make it through.
Well,
The sacrifices I make to actually have a job.
yes. Oh, boy. Okay, now, you do realize that people are conspiring to get you out here anyway.
Really?
Yes. That's all I can really say on the subject at the time being, but there are plans and schemes.
Schemes, you say?
Yes, schemes. Not just plans, but schemes.
That puts things in a whole different light.
Basically, for the time being, just leave your calendar open. There's the possibility that we could still get you out here, at least for this year.
Woo. Okay, then I'll keep my calendar open.
Okay, so as for myself, I do have a little personal news. My father-in-law, who I've really, really come to love and appreciate, he had a rather severe accident this last week. If you happen to know my wife, you'll have followed this on her Facebook page, but basically, he fell off a roof while he was trying to hang some bird repellent in a tree. Yeah, and believe me, there was a little bit of a chuckle over the fact that he fell off a roof.
It does sound slightly ridiculous.
Well,
But
it's like what is it with old guys and roofs? I mean, when I turn 80, are you going to find me up on a roof somewhere trying to do like shingle replacement or something? Anyways, so getting a little more serious, when they were trying to do some rehab for what they thought the ultimate source of the pain was, it wasn't helping. In fact, it was making things worse. So they did some more checks, and they found out that he had crushed three vertebrae and broken a fourth. Yeah.
That could be slightly problematic.
Yeah. So it was really a big deal in Jolene's family for a little while, but he did start improving rather quickly. They've got him out of the intensive care unit.
That's good.
Yeah, but they're still gathering everybody together in the family anyways. So that's where my wife and Freya are right now, instead of the usual place they would normally be on a Sunday morning.
Okay.
That does remind me, apologies for getting this recorded on a Sunday instead of our usual Friday, not that most people will notice, but there were circumstances beyond my control which kept us from recording.
That's understandable.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like you can control the universe.
I know.
Much as you want to, you
I
can't
know.
control the universe.
Okay, this is normally where we would say, let's take a break and come back with our topic of discussion next week. But we've only been recording for about 20 minutes. So this is going to be a very short podcast, or we're going to have a very long second half.
Why don't we just keep going?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. So our topic of discussion today is social networking.
Woo!
Makes it kind of funny because, the most social of the three of us, Squatto, isn't here right now.
He actually said to give him a call when the break comes.
Give him a call?
Yes, tell him when the break comes, because I think he was planning on jumping in for the second part. But since we're continuing to go, technically there is no second part.
Well, we might do the second part a little later on. But so, anyways.
I'm not evil and manipulative, really.
Okay, so just a little bit of a... If you're not participating in a social network, the basic idea is that it's usually a website or some other form of electronic server-based service where you can set up a profile, sign up friends to be part, be able to view your profile and what you're doing on your profile. And the social networking site, basically the entire purpose it's there is for that one text entry box where you can put in your current status or what you're doing or whatever else you happen to be wanting to talk about. The granddaddy of all of these sites is MySpace, and we're not going to talk about that today, except for me to touch on it a little bit and say, don't do a MySpace account. While they did sort of set the standard for what you're supposed to do to create social networks and whatnot, they didn't set up any of the appropriate sort of controls for things like spam, overpopulation, people violating the terms of service, what was and was not owned by the people who posted stuff to the account, so on and so forth. And of course, there's not the least of which is the problem with the fact that MySpace seems to be a pedophile magnet. So let's not talk about MySpace. If you're using MySpace, you're probably okay to continue using it. Just don't expect us to sign up for your MySpace friends list or whatever the hell it is. It's not going to happen.
Considering I'm vehemently against joining up on any sort of social networking thing, it's actually slightly ridiculous that I'm on so many as it is.
The first one I want to talk about is Twitter, and you'll understand why when I talk a little bit more about Facebook. But the reason I'm talking about Twitter is because whereas MySpace used to be the big daddy, now it's Twitter. Twitter is the big daddy, and it's not just because I happen to be using it more than Facebook. It's that it's the one thing that everybody is using, including major celebrities and talk shows and companies and news networks and all this kind of thing. Now, I'll grant you that I'm not really subscribed to a whole lot of celebrities. In fact, Leo Laporte, the one who's talking about the podcast celebrity who's talking about Twitter, prompted me to sign up. I'm not even on his Twitter feed. I'm not following him at all. Mostly because he posts a lot of stuff to Twitter, and I want a good signal-to-noise ratio of stuff that's important to me. The reason that Twitter is the big thing right now, Killerfish, and take notes, is...
Yep, noting.
It's small, light, and easy to use. When I started on Twitter, I started just posting a few comments here and there, and There was a couple, the Mac Geek Gab show hosts. They constantly talk about their Twitter postings, and so I immediately subscribed to their Twitter feeds, and I posted a general reply going out into the cloud to one of their posts, and lo and behold, they both started following my feed. Well, I better start posting relevant stuff. So I started posting real stuff to Twitter, and the more real stuff I posted to Twitter, the more people started paying attention to me. So I've now got...
Yeah, I think that's where I don't like social networks. I just don't like people paying that much attention to me. Hanging off me at every single second. It's kind of weird because I have this strangely extrovert personality who's just introverted.
Okay. Well, you do have a lot of people who are interested in knowing what you're doing. You do
Yeah.
have that, right? So.
Yeah, I've kind of come to realise it, what with schemes
And plans.
and plans.
Yes, so, okay. If you want to hop onto Twitter and to follow me and have the chance open that I will follow you, go to twitter.com/homernet and hit the follow button. Of course, you will have to sign up for Twitter before you can do that. Killerfish.
And
Go on.
if you want to find out what I'm doing, which will probably involve blowing up universes and or baking cakes, go to twitter.com/LordKillerfish, and I'll promise to try putting words up there, but
Hey,
you know how I
You
am.
have an iPod Touch and a Wi-Fi connection in your house. You have no excuse.
Okay.
So, the basic idea is you are limited to 140 characters per post, which is a little annoying when you want to, expound on something. I've had to break posts up into 3 separate parts just to get what I wanted posted. Let's see if there's, for instance, at one point I was replying to something that Dan Shive said. Let's see if I can bring that up now. Here we go. Dan Shive said something. He said, "I find it odd that people would be incensed over the BioShock movie being put on hold over a $160 million price tag. That's a lot of cash." And so my reply was spread over 3 posts. "I find it odd that people would bother with a movie when the game is a damn near cinematic experience." More, "My wife thought we were watching a DVD when I fired up the demo. It wasn't until she saw me fiddling with the controller that she realized that I was directing the action." So it does kind of break up the flow of thought, having to limit your posts, but it does keep things moving very, very quickly. That post that I was just reading to you was only 20 hours ago. It was less than a full 24-hour day ago. And since then, I've gotten so many posts in my slim little, intentionally small 11-follower feed or 11-follower, 8-following feed, that it's I had to click through 3 separate pages in order to get to that. It just moves that quickly. Excuse me.
It's actually quite convenient for me because I have a habit of saying the least words possible for saying something.
See, there you go. Twitter's probably really, really good for you. And actually, speaking of good for you, Killerfish, let's talk about DeviantArt.
Oh, DeviantArt. I love DeviantArt.
Aha! 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 Ha! 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 You do like a social networking site. Ha! Ha!
Yes, but it's different because in this one I put pictures up.
Oh, DeviantArt is a social networking site,
I shall have to agree with you on that one. Reluctantly.
Yes. Now, DeviantArt is kind of the opposite example of Twitter, in that in order to get things up on DeviantArt, you have to put in massive amounts of time and work into it.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Well, it doesn't have to be massive amounts of time. I mean, you can literally scribble a picture of a stick man and stick it up, but you're not going to get many comments about it, really.
But for it to be a successful social networking site for you, you have to actually have some decent art or some decent content. Like the XKCD guy, his art's not all that great, but his content is fantastic. And whether it's the content or it's the art, he's obviously putting a lot of work into it, just like you are obviously putting a lot of work into, like, say, this picture of the Valkyrie armor that you did for me. That's very nice, by the way. I like it.
Yeah.
My wife will throw a fit if she ever sees it, but it's really nice.
Well, anybody who actually wants to see this will probably, if they're on DeviantArt, will probably see it because I've named it Techno Valkyrie. But for anybody else who wants to see it, darfidwagstaff.deviantart.com, and you can take a look at all the junk that I stick up online.
Now, my experience with DeviantArt is sort of a combination of that's nice and hair pulling frustration. So, Killerfish, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience with DeviantArt?
Well, when I started, it was easier to figure out how to submit art onto the page, and they've gone through a couple of upgrades since then. I'm actually currently on subscription. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. There are two different versions of it. There's the free version, and then there's the subscription version, which is better, which gives you lots of added little features. And I'm currently only on subscription because I was given subscription as a gift.
Well, okay, you said it's got lots of neat features. Why would I want to do a subscription if they got the free stuff?
I don't know.
Well, you said it has lots of cool features. What sort of features are we talking about?
Basically, I think it's along the lines of you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure any longer. I've had subscription for such time that I've just basically taken for granted all the features that I've got access to. I'll probably find out what all the features are when.
So the
Go ahead.
first taste is free, but now they gotcha.
Sort of. It was actually a gift from a very good friend of ours, Mr. Squatto. He gave me a year subscription as a gift. So.
Any idea when that expires?
8 months.
Oh, no, it wasn't that long ago then.
No, it's just I've gotten so used to it that. Hang on, I know what I can do. I can look up the subscribed rule. And it says here what DeviantArt has to offer people who are subscribed. Okay, it says here you get up to 120 deviations per page whilst browsing. You can browse with no ads, and you can request critique on your artwork.
Oh. For artists, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Hang on, there's actually another list here. So basically you can get critique, you can get 120 deviations per page, browse ad-free, you can access the archives of way back, premium user page modules, don't know what those are, use CSS templates, create journal polls. There's actually a $60 discount on Coral Painter 11. And you can download art to your phone. All sorts of really cool stuff. Including the gallery stats tool. So you can see what people are looking at. I'm
a casual browser of DeviantArt myself. To give you an idea, last time I actually went to DeviantArt and logged in, instead of just going there to look at something, and actually, last time I actually looked at the, my interaction, whatever, like my messages or whatnot, I had something like 114 messages. I'm like, who's sending me messages on DeviantArt? I never reply.
You probably watch a lot of people, or watch enough people who send artwork out frequently enough that it's built up over time. I know I once went away for a couple of months and came back and there was something like 329 pictures to look at.
Okay. So, the next site we're going to talk about is Facebook. And there's a good reason I'm talking about this beyond the fact that the Orders Facebook site is up on Facebook. Mostly in that I kind of wanted to highlight the major differences between Twitter and Facebook, and why I was really skeptical of social networking sites to begin with. And Killerfish, you can probably agree with me on this. In terms of Facebook is simultaneously simpler than MySpace, but massively more complex than Twitter.
I don't like things which are too complex.
Yeah, and basically what that meant is that, people would say, oh, Facebook is the bee's knees, and it is so wonderful, and you must subscribe. You must subscribe. And it's like...
Subscribe.
So I go there,
We are the Facebook. You will be assimilated. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added into our own. Pawned.
So I get myself a Facebook page, and it sits there for a couple weeks, and nothing happens, because there's all these people that say, oh, if you subscribe, then everything good will happen in your life, and you will meet all these people that you knew a long time ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get a little more proactive with this. So I go and I start to add some friends, and I use the tool, and people are automatically being subscribed. Okay, so I'm watching these people's feeds, and I'm all, why do I care what you did for breakfast?
Yeah. This is one of the things I've noticed. You have to be a little bit self-absorbed with any social network site. You have to literally tell everybody every excruciating little detail of what you've done with your life. And to be honest with you, my life's not that interesting. I can't be bothered to tell you how long I've taken to take a shower. I mean, what would be the point?
Well, and I think that's a problem with there are certain people who will post things like that. But as I started getting a little more into the whole Facebook thing and bothering to look into stuff, it started making more and more sense. But I think the biggest key problem with Facebook is that being a social networking site, it requires that one be social.
Yeah.
And
there is that.
Yeah, and I think the biggest problem, the biggest problem with that, in terms of people like myself who generally are not terribly social, is that it goes through your email address book to find. That's the big tool. It's like, check your Outlook Express or Macintosh Mail address book to find your friends and add them to Facebook.com. And that's nice and all, but the people I have in my address book, the majority of them I don't communicate with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
They're not exactly what I would call friends. They're just people who I need to keep their information around. And honestly, if I need to put your information into my address book, just remember who you are, I'm probably not that good a friend with you.
Yeah.
And
although
go on.
when I first signed up, I noticed that I signed up and then added one friend, and then literally from there I've got so many more people who just wanted to add me for some reason. I must have this sort of psychic ability to get people to like me. It's quite weird. Disturbing. I'm liked by people.
Well, see, and you and I are kind of unique cases. I mean, another problematic tool on Facebook is this thing where they will go, they'll ask you like where you work and what year you graduated from high school, what high school you graduated from, and so on and so forth. And definitely an odd case because I work at Apple, an international corporation. I went to 3 different high schools. I graduated from none of them. I got a GED. So when it asks me what high school I graduated from and what year, I have to say, well, I was supposed to graduate this year, and this is the high school I attended for most of my high school career, and so far nothing. and the employees of Apple, do you know these people? And it suggests like the top 10 or something like that. Of course I don't know
Steve Jobs.
because they all work in Cupertino, and I've never been to Cupertino. I don't know anybody from the Cupertino campus. I've talked to maybe 2 people from corporate since I started working for Apple.
Fun times.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, I'm obviously totally an edge case in this scenario, but still, you know, you'd think that they would include some provision for that, wherein they took into consideration, well, maybe not everybody falls into this exact. And you know, I know it's because of how the service started. The service started as something just for, I think it was Stanford students, and you had to be a Stanford student in order to be in Facebook, which meant that they had a built-in network right there of Stanford students, and the only distinction between who was what year you were graduated or supposed to graduate.
Yeah. And now it's
look at this picture of my kitty cat. Yeah, I say that, and that is kind of mean, but
yeah. Which, oddly enough, I've actually run into somebody who's done that before, but you know.
Well, Jolene is one of the types of people that will post pictures of kitty cats, but she's been into posting pictures about our daughter, so I'm less irritated about finding pictures of our daughter in my Facebook feed.
Yeah.
In terms of you know, usefulness and whatnot, Twitter is hands down the most useful of them. Primarily because it is as simple as it is. It is just post your message and get out. That's it.
This podcast brought to you by Twitter. Not. We wish it was.
Yeah.
Because then we get money for it.
Yeah. But Facebook is really good for more media-related stuff. Like you can post videos directly to a Facebook page, like, you know, get a YouTube link, post it to your Facebook page, whereas with Twitter, it will just post a truncated URL, which may not be good in 6 months.
Yeah.
Also, uploading pictures to Facebook is so much easier. For uploading pictures to post just to Twitter, you have to go to a specific separate server called twitpic.com.
And thus making it even more complicated to post on.
Yeah. Now, I do actually kind of like that they did that, because it means that they're keeping the extra stuff that the normal person who signs up for Twitter doesn't want out of Twitter. I don't want necessarily to see an upload picture here button on the Twitter front page, because honestly, I want to just get in, type in my message, and I want to get out. That's it.
Look at my picture of a stick man's stomach exploding. Yeah, I've actually run into somebody who did animation GIFs and uploaded them to a social network thing.
Now, one of the big drawbacks with Facebook, and let's just address this right now, is what Robert Cringely, a technologist who has worked for just about every single big technology company in existence, he calls it being a Facebook whore.
Right.
And that is basic. Yeah. That's basically, look at my app. Download my app and sign up all of your friends for my app. Facebook, for those who are less familiar with the website, has a functionality where you can create custom apps for it. Most of these happen to be games and quizzes. I don't like the quizzes so much because a lot of them are, I'm going to make a commentary funny about how I don't like this person in a particular movie, and it usually comes out to sound like fangirl trash. But the games can be quite engaging. And one of the games, it's a Pirates game for Facebook, has actually gotten my wife interested in Second Life because she can make money like crazy in Pirates, and she wants to be able to do that in real life. I was like, well, Second Life lets you make money and convert it into real dollars. And of course, I gave her the caveats about the exchange rates. But
yeah.
Now, the problem, though, is that it creates what, again, the whole Facebook whorage thing, which, in order for these Facebook apps to become popular, they have to get people to sign up. And the easiest way to get people to sign up is to have the people who do sign up give automatic permission to the app to raid their contacts list on Facebook and just send a whole crap load of invitations. Yeah, basically it's basically like permitted spam virus. If this behavior was going on with these exact same people's regular address book, they would be livid. They would say, I've got this virus on my system. And of course, people like me would have to get the virus off their system. But because it's a Facebook app, and because they get people to join up with their Facebook game or their Facebook quiz or their Facebook this, that, and the other, then it's completely okay, and they're all, oh, look, it's an app just for showing pictures of kitties.
Oh, look, it's an app for adopting llamas.
Exactly.
I mean, I've only actually used one or two apps, and one of them was this apparently it was an IQ test, but it only asked 10 questions, and apparently I've got an IQ of 140. Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah. Not saying you don't have an IQ of 140, but 10 questions is not enough to determine that.
I wish I had an IQ of 140, because that's genius level.
Yes. So, yeah, basically, that's one of the things I really appreciate about Twitter, and one of the reasons I'm saying I like that they're keeping TwitPic separate from Twitter.
Yeah.
It means that there's a much, much, much less chance of having a term show up called a Twitter whore.
So, don't expect to see anything like, look at me and what I can do, I am the awesome, on Twitter then.
Well, people are going to say that. It's just not necessarily going to be, and send this to 10 of your Twitter friends. So.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, if you want to sign up for my Facebook, then you can. I do have to say that I'm using my Facebook less and less these days, mostly because I'm enjoying Twitter a lot more. And that's primarily because most of the people that I go to church with and who are in my wife's family don't use Twitter.
It's okay. I forget to go to Facebook a lot, so...
But the reason I said that is because I started becoming much more engaged on Facebook, and then my wife's family and some people from church started getting more on Facebook because, they said, "Oh, look at this! This is neat," and I was using as my picture there a couple of the pieces that you did for me for the orders page, showing the Dame Helennet persona. And when my wife and her family saw that, they were livid, and I started getting questioning looks from the people at church. And it's like, okay, this was my private area, but now you guys are coming in and you're bringing along your presuppositions about what things are supposed to be without really looking into this. I'm less interested in participating in your circle, so I'm going over here. You don't follow me.
But this also means that my artwork is controversial.
Yes,
which is a plus for any artist.
Oh yes, absolutely. You're not only internationally known, but there's controversy about your art. Expect the asking price of your artwork to double. I mean, really, it's that big.
Well, wow, you mean people will give me twice of nothing?
So,
I really should start charging people if they ask me to draw stuff.
Hey, you know what? There is a thriving trade. But don't charge too much, because remember, most of the people that you're going to be asking for money from are jobless teenagers and 20-somethings.
Who don't have that much money anyway.
Right. Which kind of brings me to what I want to talk about for some coming episodes. And in fact, I'm thinking of spinning this off into its own little podcast. But kind of like last week, I requested questions, or not last week, the last recording. I requested questions about computer fixing stuff. I would like to start hearing questions about what you would like information-wise about going out and being successful without still living in your parents' basement.
It's not a basement.
Flat, loft, space above the garage, the room that you've lived in since you were 4.
Yeah, I get the idea.
And like I said, I might even spin that off into a whole another podcast. And the reason I'm saying that is because there's this tendency of people to kind of assume that everybody knows what they know. And, I'm guilty of that myself. So, I'm not saying that I'm completely perfect in that regard. I'm not. But...
You aren't?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I know, disappointing.
Disappointing, yeah.
But the thing is that maybe it's just the fact that my wife pointed this out. I started the other day. I was really in my stuff about how I'm old. I'm getting old. I don't have time for games anymore, and I'm tired when I walk through the door after work, and I'm more worried about taxes than the next issue of Spider-Man or whatever. And my wife turned to me and she said, "You hang out with people half your age." And I thought about that, and online, yeah, and at work, yeah, and what constitutes my circle of friends outside of work and church, yeah, and and I don't really hang out with the people at church who do happen to be my age and do happen to be fathers and whatnot. And yeah, she's right. I hang out with people half my age. So maybe it's due to that little quirk of behavior that makes it so that I have this observational view that says, you know what, not everybody knows about this, not everybody knows about that, but I'd like to hear people ask, what is it about getting and holding a job that's such a big deal? Why do I need to save up money for this, that, and the other? And who cares about whether or not I move out now? I've got my parents. It's not going to matter until I dating that, whether or not I have a place of my own. There's reasons for all of this stuff, but I think a lot of the adults in our lives as we're growing up forget to tell us what these reasons are, and so we kind of start tuning them out. So I kind of like to start addressing things like that. So any questions that people can post about that would be great.
You realise you're literally turning yourself into an agony aunt.
What does that mean?
Oh, sorry, British term. Agony aunt is somebody in a newspaper or a website or anything who somebody will write to, and they will publish that letter, and the agony aunt will give them advice on what to do and how to.
Yeah. What's the American equivalent? Dear Abby, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but it's not just me, because well, I guess it would be just me. I was going to say, because we got plenty of people who are living and supporting family, but no, I'm kind of it in our particular circle.
Well, makes you feel wanted, really.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna talk about that in the future podcast, and hopefully it will get spun off. So
we're gonna take a break, or
you know what? I think we're gonna just keep it short today.
Okay. I'd best tell Squatto then.
So we've got some webcomic reviews to do, and while you're doing that, Killerfish, I'll go ahead and review what I'm doing is Day by Day. And if you haven't heard of this, it's because you're all a bunch of liberal hippie freaks. Day by Day is, in my opinion, a very refreshing viewpoint in the world of webcomics, because for the most part, most webcomics are written by people who do come from the liberal end of the spectrum. And
that makes sense, really, because the only people who have the time and energy to devote to making webcomics usually are the ones who don't have jobs and are fairly more along those lines.
Yeah, and we could talk about the cause and effect there, but the Day by Day is written, in case you hadn't guessed, by a conservative. I don't believe they're Republican, just because they do rip on some Republican policies, but they're definitely very willing to rip on liberals and Democrats, and basically the people who, in the end, wind up not making a whole hell of a lot of sense. By way of example, today's comic is a commentary on I don't know if people have heard about this, but Miss California was basically, she lost her chance for, I think, Miss USA, because she answered honestly about the question about whether or not she supports gay marriage. And she said that marriage is something between a man and a woman. And the gay judge who asked her that actually openly told people that Miss California was going to be Miss USA, or whatever the crown was she was going for, until she said that. So it's clear case of political bias in this particular contest. Now, these beauty contests are, in my opinion, something of a joke anyways, but today's Day by Day rips on that and says, it shows this judge, Miss Florida, I would like to know what your position on marriage is. And the person who's playing this forward in the comics says, "It's between a man and a woman, Mr. Hilton. I'd like to know why a gay man is judging a woman's beauty contest." And which does bring up the question, wait a minute, why is a gay man judging a woman's beauty contest? Because
Yeah.
it's like, on what do they have? And now I'm going to piss off some people by saying this, but why would a gay man be? I mean, I can understand a gay man being the clothing designer. I can understand a gay man being the manager. I can understand a gay man's participation in beauty competition on a lot of levels. But being a judge of the appearance and beauty factor of a woman, I don't get.
Some things just don't make sense here.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And if he was, hell, even if he was a straight woman, positing the same question with the same results, the question would still be there. Why is this person being removed from the beauty competition for something that's a matter of political opinion? But it would be a lot less confusing because a straight woman is a lot better judge of a woman's beauty than a gay man. Now, a gay man judging a men's beauty or handsomeness or whatever you want to call it competition. Hey, that makes perfect sense. I'm with you all the way on that. Anyways, like I said, I'm probably going to piss off quite a few people by saying that. But remember that I am the conservative transgendered Mormon on the panel here, so.
You know, it's... reaction from Squatto. He tells people not to cry for him, unless maybe they are from Chile, Argentina.
So, okay, ending tangent, getting back to the comic. It puts into webcomic, easily accessible form a lot of the opinions and positions of the conservative crowd. Before I found this, the closest thing was, I forget the name of the comic, but that should give you an idea. It was just not very good at expressing the conservative viewpoint because, well, I don't know why, but I just stopped reading it, and I specifically intentionally seek out day by day because it is so much better at conveying the real point of view of conservatives, of which I'm one, of which I'm very glad to see that happening. There's not a whole lot of storyline to it. It is mostly political commentary. But if you start from the beginning and go through it, you do see a lot of development of the characters. You start to care about these specific people that are used to tell the conservative viewpoint. You're chatting with Squatto again, aren't you?
Yes, he wants me to say things, and I'm just trying to convince him that this is not what we're doing here.
Yeah, we're not doing that this time. It didn't work out too well last time. It was good for comedic effect once, but yeah, you don't want to beat that dead horse any farther into the ground than you have to. So, Killerfish, what's your comic for today?
My comic for today is Order of the Stick.
Yes.
Yes. It's for anybody who is at heart a D&D geek. It's one of those comics which epitomizes all the lovely little flaws in the system and all of the little quirks and the fact that it's also stickmen doing dungeon adventures. I mean, you could have perfectly posed, anatomically perfect characters who do things perfectly, but no, you've just got these little stickmen, and it makes it a whole lot more funnier. Sorry, I should explain the comic before I go on to...
Yes, go on. You do explain the comic.
Okay, basically, you have a group of adventurers who are called the Order of the Stick. And throughout the storyline, they go around doing a dungeon crawl in the attempt to kill off the bad guy, as you do as a wandering adventure group. And basically what it is, it's dealing with the interaction between the characters and the various different classes that you would have in Dungeons and Dragons. And as I said, it's funny because it's Stickmen.
No, it's funny.
This is me. I'm physically an adult, but I'm mentally a child. I find things funny just because they're funny. I don't get it, really.
If you'll allow me to pick up on this one,
Yeah, go for it.
The primary driving factor behind the Order of the Stick is the fact that it's extremely well written. There are other gamer comics out there, including a comic called Yet Another Gamer Comic, but Order of the Stick handles it on a level that I think most others just sort of wish they could. It's extremely well written in terms of making sure not only hooking you into the story, but hooking you into the joke. That it always inevitably happens, and they even hang a lampshade on the fact that the joke always happens at the end of each comic. Even the ones where it's really big, serious. Small spoiler here. One of the characters puts out a short-term lease on their soul to some underworld power dealers, and it's this big, massive, epic world-turning event in the story, and yet they still end off every single comic in that particular arc with a joke. And it's just extremely well handled, well written, well played. I just can't get over the level and quality of the writing in this comic. And yes, the writing is good. It's that good.
There actually is writing, which is something that I lack, apparently.
Oh.
Hey, we can't all be kind of like writing powerhouses. Anyway.
So yes, it's a good comic, and thank you for bringing it up. And thank you for reviewing it, Killerfish.
Well, I didn't really review it. I just kind of casually mentioned it and then handed off the point of reviewing it over to you, like I usually do.
Okay, so that will cover our webcomic reviews for the week. Just a few reminders. You can follow us on Twitter, DeviantArt, and Facebook. My Twitter, DeviantArt, and Facebook accounts are all HomerNet. So if you go to those sites and do a search for HomerNet, then you'll find me. Killerfish, what are your account names again?
Twitter is Lord Killerfish. DeviantArt is David Wagstaff because somebody else nicked Killerfish. And I can't remember what my Facebook account is, but it's probably David Wagstaff again.
And we again reviewed Day by Day and Order of the Stick. The URL for Day by Day is daybydaycartoon.com. Killerfish, what's the URL for Order of the Stick again?
GiantITP.com. It's basically giantintheplayground.com, but they've taken the in the playground bit and they've just acronymed it. So it's gianitp.com.
Okay, and just to remind everybody, we are being hosted, sort of sponsored, if you will, by Shastrix.com. Go there, sign up for the forums, post your questions, and Killerfish, you're getting back into the whole art thing. We're glad to hear that. Anything
Yes.
else you want to talk about? Your comic, your art, your stuff?
I've posted up a kind of like a preview of what the new Team Nexus will look like. So, yes, new Team Nexus. We're not following the old characters anymore. Taking it in a slightly different direction with completely original characters. Well, they're the children/descendants of the originals, but you know what I mean.
Okay, and just to remind everybody, we are waiting on Killerfish with bated breath for those 3 pieces of art. But once they come in, we'll have some more updates to the Order's website.
Yeah, it's not fun having kind of like 3 or 4 different rolled up newspapers hanging over my head for...
In the meantime, you can check out my current project, which is it's Project Honeymoon Suite. You can live follow me on Twitter for that, but you can also go to web.me.com/homernet and view my daily updates there for that particular project. And that's about it. We don't have any guests. We've done our own recap. Anything else you want to add, Killerfish?
Bamboo.
Baboo, baboo, baboo.
Bamboo. I feel that said it all, really.
Have you ever made a helicopter with bamboo?
Have I ever made a what?
A helicopter with bamboo.
Okay, I'm having a bit of trouble with the sound here.
Have you ever made a helicopter with bamboo?
I used to own a helicopter that was made out of bamboo.
Really?
But yes, but I kind of broke it, so...
You know what your problem is?
No,
You didn't use
I don't know
colors.
what. Okay.
Alright, we're gonna take off. Say goodnight, Killerfish.
Ha ha ha, take off. Ha 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 ha. Helicopter, take off.
Say goodnight, Killerfish.
Good night, Killerfish.
Power in my hand, the world at my command. But now all that I want is just to be your man. It's a crazy world, in a twisted turn of reality. It's you and me, and I need you here to keep some sanity. We are but pawns in a faded game of cat and mouse. Maybe a couple of guinea pigs thrown out here and there. It's a crazy world, it's all messed up in my head. I got you, I don't care.